HFY, the day the Empire fell. The Zoltran Empire had ruled the galaxy for 7 long centuries. Their ships flew in every star system, their banners hung on hundreds of worlds, and their soldiers walked with the pride of conquerors. Most species had learned to bow, obey, and stay silent. The Empire believed no one could ever challenge them, but that belief began to shake on a quiet day inside the Imperial Command Center. High Admiral Syraxis stood in the middle of the Great Hall, his 4 eyes fixed on the star map floating in the air. Officers moved around him, checking screens, sending orders, and reporting numbers. Everything seemed normal until a junior officer ran in with a pale face. "Admiral," he said, breathing fast. We are reading strange signals from the outer rim." Syraxis frowned. "Strange how?" "No source, sir. No beaconide. No known frequency. Just shadows." The hall went silent. Even in a huge empire, unknown signals were rare. The Empire had scanned every star thousands of times. They knew every species, every pirate group, every rebel. A new signal usually meant a mistake or a threat. Syraxis walked to the main console. The signal pattern played again. It sounded like soft static, but heavy, like something massive was bending space. "How far?" Syraxis asked. 5 light hours from the outer defense line." "Can we see the objects?" "Mass shadows only. No visible ships." Syraxis felt a cold wave pass through his body. Mass shadows meant something very large was there, but hidden. No species had ships that could hide mass that well, unless the ships were not from any known species. Around him, officers whispered. Fear grew like dark fog. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then the star map, glitched, then the alarms screamed, red sirens flashed. The main screen turned bright white as real space ripped open like torn metal. The sound shook the entire room. Dozens, no hundreds of giant shapes appeared out of nothing. They seemed to unfold from inside the white light, like shadows turning into solid metal. The Empire officers gasped. Warships, enormous warships. But these ships had no familiar design, no curved Zoltran armor, no sharp energy fins, no biological plating like the insectoid races. These ships were clean, metallic, angular. Human.humans.ser. Axis stared, stunned. This cannot be. For the Empire, humans were an old joke, a forgotten species, a primitive world the Empire visited long ago. They were weak, slow, not important, not worth monitoring. And yet, here they were, a whole fleet, no, a whole armada, silent, cold, watching. The ships did not power weapons. They did not move forward. They simply hung in the dark like metal giants waiting for judgment. "Are they sending messages?" Syraxis asked. His officer shook his head. "Nothing, Admiral. They are not responding to our hails. Try again." They sent message after message, warnings, commands, requests, but no answer came. The human ships remained dark and quiet, like statues made of steel. The Admiral felt the entire command center freeze. In every officer's eyes, he saw one question. How did a forgotten species do this? Syraxis turned to the defense screens. "Show me their power output." The officer hesitated. "Sir, they are not using power." "What do you mean they are not using power?" "They are silent. No heat trace, no engine signature, no shield glow. Impossible. No ship could move through folded space without heat. No ship could sustain that mass without energy. And yet these ships did it easily, as if the rules of physics were suggestions." The Empire officers began to panic. "Admiral, they're scanning us. Admiral, their numbers are increasing. More warp shadows appear. Admiral, we're losing contact with the outer fleets." Syraxis slammed his fist on the console. "Hold formation. Do not fire." But his voice shook. Everyone heard it. Slowly, the largest human ship moved. Its hangar bays opened one by one, hundreds of them like the jaws of a giant beast, preparing to breathe fire. But no weapons came out. Instead, thousands of small drones floated into the dark. They spread out like glowing blue eyes, studying every Imperial ship and station. "Admiral," the communications officer said, we finally received a message." Everyone froze. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered. A single line of white text appeared on the black background. "We remember." That was all. Just 2 words. Saraxis felt his chest tighten. Something old and dark returned to his mind. Rumors, whispers, forbidden histories, something the Empire tried to erase. Before anyone could speak, the drones activated beams of light. Imperial ships lit up as if being scanned by gods. "They're analyzing our weapons," an officer cried. "They're reading our shields. They're copying our fleet codes." Saraxis felt true fear for the first time in his life. This was not a greeting, this was judgment. Then, with perfect timing, the human ships opened every hangar door at once. Thousands of brilliant glowing eyes staring at the Empire fleet. The humans still did not fire. And somehow, that was even worse. The silent arrival had begun. The Empire knew one truth: they were no longer the rulers of the galaxy. For hours, the human fleet remained silent above the Imperial border. No shots fired, no engines moving, no message except cold words. "We remember." Inside the Imperial Command Center, fear spread like fire. Officers tried to act calm, but everyone felt the same thing. This was not an enemy they understood. This was something older, deeper, and far more dangerous. High Admiral Saraxis stood at the center of the hall, watching the humans on the main screen. The huge metal ships looked peaceful, but only in the way a sleeping beast looks peaceful. At last, Saraxis spoke. "We must know what they remember. We need answers from our archives. Now." His voice echoed through the hall. Officers ran to the lower levels where ancient records were kept. The Empire rarely opened those rooms. Most old documents had been erased or rewritten to make the Empire look pure and perfect. Moments later, the chief historian arrived, an elderly Zoltran with trembling hands. She looked more frightened than anyone. "Admiral," she said softly, "you must come with me." Saraxis followed her down into the archive core, a cold, dark room filled with black stone tablets and old memory crystals. The air was heavy, as if the room itself remembered scenes. "What do the humans want?" Saraxis asked. The historian hesitated. Her eyes lowered. "They want justice, for something the Empire did long ago." She handed Saraxis a crystal. He placed it in the reader. A hologram appeared, grainy, old, damaged. It showed a small blue planet, a young world. Earth.ser. Axis whispered, "That is their homeworld." The hologram changed. Imperial ships appeared, landing on mountains and forests. Soldiers in old armor stepped out. They laughed at the primitive villagers and called the humans tiny animals who feared the stars. Another scene appeared. Imperial scientists drilling into Earth's crust, sucking minerals, tearing soil, poisoning rivers. Another scene. A meeting. Empire officers deciding Earth was not valuable. They took what they wanted and left the humans dying. Another scene. An order from the Emperor at the time. "Erase this world from the star charts. They will not survive." Saraxis felt cold. They left them to die. The historian nodded slowly. Humans were weak. They could not fight back. They had no ships, no weapons, no voice. The Empire saw them as nothing. But humans did survive. Saraxis whispered, "Yes, and now they return." Saraxis stared at the crystal in shock. This was never in the official history. "It was removed," she said. The Empire did not want to appear cruel. The Admiral felt something new, shame, a feeling rare in the Empire. Above them, the alarm blared again. "Admiral," a voice shouted from the hall. "Human drones have entered scanning range." Saraxis rushed back to the main chamber. On the screen, the thousands of human drones glowed brighter. Their beams scanned every Imperial warship, every fighter, every station. "They are studying our weapons," an officer cried. "They are reading our shields. They know our weaknesses." Another yelled. Saraxis raised his voice. "Calm yourselves." But no one could. The humans still had not fired a single shot. Yet the Empire felt more fear than any battlefield ever created. Suddenly the comms officer shouted, "Admiral, more human signatures incoming." They are folding in. A new wave of warfleets appeared, bigger than the first. These ships were like moving cities, their hulls covered in symbols the Empire did not understand. The command center shook with shock. "How many?" Saraxis asked. The officer swallowed. "Over 5,000 and still increasing." The Empire had never seen numbers like this. Not even during the Great Expansion War. The human fleet surrounded the Imperial border like a steel storm. Still silent. Still waiting. Saraxis finally understood. The humans were not attacking. They were giving the Empire a chance to admit the truth. "Admiral," the historian whispered, "they want us to face what we did." Saraxis felt the weight of centuries pressing on his back. "What good is the past now?" he whispered. The historian looked into his eyes. "Because the humans did not forget. They remember the pain. They remember being left to die. They remember the Empire's cruelty." Saraxis closed his eyes. "And now they demand justice." The drones suddenly shifted into formation, moving as one, forming a perfect circle around the Imperial ships. Inside the human flagship, a soft transmission began. A deep, calm voice spoke. "Zoltran Empire, you erased our world from your maps. You erased your crimes from your history, but you did not erase us." The command center froze. "We survived your hunger. We survived your theft. We survived your arrogance." The drone's lights turned red. "Now we return not as victims, but as judges." Every officer felt their legs weaken. Saraxis spoke softly. "What do you want from us?" The answer came instantly. "Truth, justice, and everything you stole." The message ended. No more words. No more warnings. The Admiral realized something terrifying. This was only the beginning. Humanity had not come for war. War was too small. They came for something far greater. They came to end the Empire's lies. The human armada surrounded the Imperial border like a silent storm. Their warships glowed faintly. Their drones moved with unnatural precision, and their message still hung in the minds of every officer. "We return as judges." Inside the Imperial Command Center, fear had slowly turned into desperation. Admiral Saraxis stood tall, but his hands shook. Officers spoke in panicked whispers. The Empire had crushed rebellions, defeated rivals, conquered worlds, but they had never faced an enemy that spoke calmly while holding the power to erase them in seconds. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the Emperor appeared on the main screen, his robe glowing with royal sigils, his many eyes filled with cold fire. He looked at Saraxis with anger, not fear. "Hi, Admiral," the Emperor said sharply. "Why are you waiting?" Saraxis bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, the humans demand we face our past." "Silence," the Emperor snapped. "They are a small species, a forgotten world. We do not bow to them." Saraxis tried to answer, but the Emperor raised his hand. "You will fire a warning volley. Show them the might of the Empire." The command center froze. A warning volley. Against ships that broke the laws of physics. Against a fleet that could disable shields with a light scan. Saraxis felt every instinct scream no. "Your Majesty," he said carefully. "This may provoke. Do as I command." The Emperor shouted. The order was absolute. Disobeying meant death. Saraxis turned to the officers. "Charge primary weapons." The hall filled with buzzing as Imperial cannons powered up. Massive energy beams gathered in the barrels of the frontline ships. An officer hesitated. "Admiral, if they react badly, we follow the Emperor," Saraxis whispered. Though fear coated his words, the Imperial fleet prepared to fire. But before they could, space rippled, light bent, and every human ship vanished. Gasps filled the command center. They cloaked. An officer cried, "No!" Another said, voice cracking. They left the visible spectrum. Saraxis shouted, "Find them." Scanners rushed, engines hummed, and officers typed commands with shaking hands. Nothing. The human fleet was gone. But then a sharp beep, a terrified scream. "Admiral!" They reappeared behind us. Every camera switched at once. Human warships now hovered behind the Imperial fleet, so closely that their hulls almost touched. They had moved silently, perfectly, without any energy trace. Saraxis' heart pounded. No species in the galaxy could reposition thousands of ships instantly. Not even the Empire. The Emperor's face returned to the screen. Even he looked shaken now. Impossible. How did they? Before he finished speaking, a blinding pulse of white light swept across space. Every Imperial ship's weapon systems shut down at once. Admiral, our cannons are offline. Our missiles won't launch. Our reactors are resetting. They disabled us. An officer screamed. With one pulse, Syraxis clenched his jaw. Shields, dead engine, frozen. Communications, only local signals. Long range is gone. The Empire 700 years strong was helpless in a single breath. The Emperor roared in fury, but his image flickered and vanished. Human tech had jammed the transmission. The room filled with quiet terror. The humans had not attacked. They had simply removed the Empire's ability to fight. Then came a sound, soft, steady, cold. Boom, boom, boom. Not explosions, something worse. The human drones approached, tapping lightly on Imperial hulls, as if knocking on doors. Admiral, an officer whispered. What are they doing? Judging us, Syraxis said quietly. Suddenly, a message appeared on every Imperial screen, every console, every ship, every device. A calm human voice spoke. Zultran Empire, you attacked first. The officers trembled. We will not destroy you. Relief washed through the room, but only for a moment. We will show you your weakness. The drones formed a single spiraling symbol, one that repeated on every human ship. Then the voice continued. This is your only warning. Lower your flags. Stand down your armies, or we will end your fleets in 10 seconds. Syraxis felt his knees weaken. An officer whispered, Admiral, should we surrender? Another officer shouted, No, we can still fight. We have numbers. Syraxis looked at the main screen. The human ships were motionless but terrifying. Every Imperial sensor showed the same thing. The human armada wasn't using even 1% of its power. 1%, and they had already taken control of the battlefield. Syraxis closed his eyes. The Empire had never faced a foe like this. This was not war. This was evolution. Then the voice returned, colder than before. You have 10 seconds to decide. 10, 9. The command center erupted in panic. Admiral, what do we do? Sir, they'll kill us. Sir, order retreat. 8, 7. Syraxis grabbed the console and shouted, Stop. Everyone stop. The room froze. He stared into the countdown, his mind cold and clear. The Empire was strong, but humanity was beyond strength. They were unstoppable, and they were angry. Syraxis opened the comm channel and spoke one line. We request terms. The countdown stopped instantly. The human voice answered, Good. Then listen carefully. The Empire braced itself. Humanity was about to give its ultimatum. HFY, the day the Empire fell, the moment High Admiral Syraxis said the words, We request terms. The entire battlefield went silent. Human ships stopped moving. Human drones froze mid-air. The countdown ended at once, as if someone pressed pause on reality. Then a single human ship moved forward. It was massive, larger than any Imperial dreadnought, its hull shining like polished stone, covered in strange symbols that pulsed softly with blue light. The ship's front opened, revealing a circular chamber filled with white mist. A voice echoed through every speaker across the Imperial fleet. Admiral Sir, step forward. Officers gasped. How do they know your name? How do they know our command structure? Syraxis felt a cold tremor run down his spine. The humans knew far more about them than they should. The message repeated, Step forward. We will speak with you, and only you. Syraxis swallowed hard. There was no choice. He gave a final order to his officers. If this is the end, remember that I tried to listen. He entered the hololink chamber where the Empire normally met foreign ambassadors. But when the human signal connected, the chamber changed. It became brighter, warmer, filled with a soft white glow. A figure appeared, not a human soldier, not a general, not a king, but an AIA human-made artificial intelligence with a calm face, glowing eyes, and a voice that sounded almost gentle. Saraxis stared. "You are their leader." The AI nodded. "I am Elion, diplomatic intelligence of the United Human Coalition." Saraxis felt shock. "Humans sent a machine to negotiate." Elian tilted its head. "We do not risk our people unnecessarily. We have learned from history, something your empire does not do." Saraxis flinched at the quiet insult. Elion continued, "Admiral, humanity does not seek war, but we demand justice." The images around Saraxis suddenly changed. Earth appeared blue, peaceful. Then the hologram shifted to the old history. Imperial ships taking resources, Imperial soldiers laughing at humans, Imperial leaders calling Earth a useless rock. Then silence, nothing. "The Empire abandoning Earth to die," Saraxis whispered. "We did not know the humans survived." Elion stepped closer. "Your empire never checked. That is your crime." The AI's voice became colder. "The Zoltron Empire must answer for what it did. You will return everything you stole. You will free the worlds you enslaved. You will dismantle your forced labor camps. You will end all conquest campaigns." Saraxis felt the weight of each word. "This is impossible," he said. "The empire is built on oppression." Elion interrupted. "Your empire is built on suffering. We will not allow it to continue." Saraxis tried to defend his people. "We cannot make such changes overnight. There will be chaos, rebellions, civil war." Elion's voice softened slightly. "We do not want chaos. We want peace. But peace cannot exist while the Empire rules through fear." The AI raised its hand. A map of the galaxy appeared. Dozens of Imperial-controlled worlds flashed red. The red dots flickered rapidly. "These planets already rebel," Elion said. "They saw our arrival and now believe they can rise." Saraxis felt dizzy. "How do you know that?" "We are already helping them," Elion replied. "We give them information, hope, tools to break their chains." Saraxis felt the truth hit him like a blow. Humanity had come prepared. This was not sudden. This was a plan. Elion looked deep into him. "Admiral Sir, the Empire has two choices." The AI raised two fingers. "1. Accept our terms. Begin reforms. Free the oppressed. Return stolen resources. Share power. To reject our terms, and watch your empire fall within the hour." Saraxis whispered, "You would destroy us." Elion shook its head. "We do not want to. We would prefer to rebuild you." A pause. "But we will not allow your cruelty to continue. Not again. Not ever." Saraxis felt something he had never felt before. Guilt. For years, he believed the Empire was fair and honorable. But now, seeing the truth, he understood humanity's rage. Still, he had to ask, "If we accept, what happens to the Emperor?" Elian's reply was immediate. "He will answer to his own people, not to us." That alone terrified Saraxis more than any weapon. Elion continued, speaking calmly. "We are giving you a chance the Empire never gave us, a chance to change without bloodshed." Then the human AI leaned forward, eyes glowing brighter. "But do not mistake our patience for weakness. If you deceive us, if you stall, if you lie, my fleets will return. And next time, we will not speak first." Saraxis felt the words like a blade against his throat. He finally bowed his head. "What must I do?" Elion answered. "Step back into your command center. Give the order to stand down. Lower your flags. Power off your weapons." Saraxis hesitated. Elian's voice turned colder, sharper. "Choose wisely, Admiral. The next 10 minutes will decide the fate of your empire. Forever." The link ended. Saraxis stood alone in the silent chamber. When he stepped back into the command center, every officer stared at him. Admiral, one whispered, "What are their terms?" Saraxis spoke with a heavy heart. "Everything changes today, or everything ends." HFY, the day the Empire fell high, Admiral Saraxis had barely finished announcing the human ultimatum when the command center exploded into chaos. Voices overlapped. Screens flashed red. Officers argued, panicked, shouted, demanded answers. One young officer cried, "Admiral, we cannot surrender. The Emperor will execute us all. Another shouted, if we don't surrender, the humans will destroy us. A third yelled, we should fight. The Empire still has millions of ships. Syraxis raised both hands. Silence. But the room refused to calm. Fear had eaten discipline. Pride fought survival. Confusion competed with rage. Then the main screen flickered with the symbol of the Emperor. His voice thundered through the hall. Admiral Sir, you will ignore the human demands. Every officer froze. You will power your weapons. You will strike first. You will show these humans the true fire of our empire. Syraxis felt his stomach twist. Your Majesty, he said carefully, they have already disabled our weapons once. Then fire bigger weapons. The Emperor roared. Use the invasion cannons. Use the neutron lances. Use the super lasers if you must. But you will fight. The officers looked terrified. The invasion cannons were forbidden. Neutron lances were super lasers could tear moons apart. Using them meant one thing. The Empire was desperate. Syraxis spoke again. Your Majesty, we cannot win. If we fire, the Emperor interrupted, voice shaking with fury. You will obey, Admiral, or you will be replaced. The screen cut out. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Every officer turned toward Syraxis. Slowly, painfully, he nodded. Charge the invasion cannons. The order tasted like poison. Officers ran to their stations. Massive energy readings lit up the map as the Empire's frontline ships powered their deadliest weapons. Across the battlefield, human warships stayed motionless, watching, not frightened, not impressed, just watching. Then, suddenly a boom shook the command center. An officer screamed, Admiral, Ship 47's cannon overloaded. Another shouted, their shields can't handle the power-up cycle. Another yelled, the humans are interfering with our energy flow. Static burst across the screens. Human drones swarmed like silver sparks, circling Imperial cannons. Admiral, the engineer cried, if we fire, our own weapons might explode. Syraxis froze. The humans had hacked their energy cores. If the Empire fired even one shot, they'd blow up their own fleet. But then the Emperor's voice returned, louder than ever. Fire now. Syraxis closed his eyes. He gave the order. Fire. The invasion cannons began charging. Space around them twisted as power built up. The barrels glowed bright red and then white. Human ships still didn't move. Silence. Then FWAAAAM. FWAM FWAAAAA. 3 invasion cannons fired blazing beams at the nearest human dreadnought. The beams hit and vanished, not deflected, not absorbed, not reflected. They simply disappeared, as if space opened a door and swallowed the attack hole. An officer gasped. Where did the shots go? Another cried. The humans folded the energy away, into another dimension. Syraxis whispered. They didn't even defend, they just removed our attack. Before anyone could react, the cannons that fired exploded from inside. The ships burst into bright fireballs. Thousands of fragments scattered across space. The command center shook violently. Crew members fell. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Screens shattered. Admiral, we lost 6 battleships. Our entire first line is breaking. We cannot fire again or more ships will explode. Syraxis gripped the railing. Retreat. Pull back the front line. But before the order could spread, human ships moved. One moment they were still. The next they streaked forward like silver arrows. Fast, silent, perfect. The first Imperial cruisers tried to activate emergency shields. Too late. Human EM flashes struck them clean white. Silent. Every Imperial ship hit went dark. Engines died. Weapons died. Life support flickered. Even gravity failed. Crew members floated helplessly inside their own ships. Admiral, an officer shouted, they are disabling us, ship by ship. Not killing, Syraxis whispered. Just turning us off. Human fighters swarmed next. Small, sleek, glowing like blue blades. They moved between Imperial ships with impossible grace, cutting power lines, melting turrets, tearing engines apart with delicate precision. No deaths, no explosions, just quiet surrender. In under 10 seconds, the Empire's proud frontline fleet, the one they boasted about for centuries, was nothing but a field of dead metal, floating, helpless, silent dot across the galaxy. Millions watched live broadcasts. Rebellions erupted instantly on dozens of worlds. Down with the Empire. Freedom for all species. Humans have come. Imperial citizens felt hope for the first time in generations. On the battlefield, human dropships opened their hangars. Sleek metallic pods flew toward the Imperial capital planet. Syraxis whispered, "They're sending ground forces." And then he saw them, human marines, armored in black, glowing armor, moving in perfect formation. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. They marched across Imperial soil like a storm, weapons aimed, eyes forward, no fear, no hesitation. This was the moment history changed. The Empire had never faced true strength. Now they did, and humanity didn't even use half of its power. The throne room of the Imperial Core had never been silent before. It was a place of constant sound, echoes of marching guards, soft humming of energy pillars, voices of ministers, the Emperor's own commands. But now, nothing, just cold, heavy silence. Everyone in the room stared at the giant holoscreen floating above the marble floor. On it, the Human Warfleet remained in perfect formation, moving, unshaken, and impossibly calm. The Emperor's hands trembled on the side of his throne. For the first time in his long rule, true fear lived in his eyes. Admiral Korith stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we must respond. We cannot simply wait." The Emperor whispered, "Respond with what? That fleet outnumbers our full core defense lines." The holoscreen shifted. A new image appeared. A human face, not armored, not masked. Just a normal human, calm, serious, steady. But his eyes held something no Imperial officer had ever seen. Certainty. A voice followed, clear and direct. "This is Admiral Marcus Hale, commanding officer of the United Terran Union Expeditionary Fleet." The ministers shivered. The Emperor leaned forward. Humanity had sent a leader to speak, but the Empire had never received a message like this before. Hale continued, "We come with a simple demand. Your Empire will stand down. All invasions, all forced labor, all planet raids, all of it ends today." Gasps filled the throne room. The Emperor's face turned red with rage. How dare they? But Hale was not finished. "You will release every captured human citizen. You will return every stolen resource, and you will open your borders to an immediate diplomatic review." The room exploded into noise. Impossible, unacceptable, an insult to the Empire. But then Hale spoke again, and the room froze. "If you refuse, we will defend ourselves with full force. The Terran Union does not start wars." He paused. "But we finish them." Admiral Korith felt a chill run down his spine. There was no anger in Hale's voice. There was no threat. There was only truth. Plain, simple truth. The Emperor stood. His robe swept across the floor. "Open a channel," he commanded. "I will speak to this human." The officers triggered the communication link. Hale's image flickered, then returned calm as ever. The Emperor raised his chin. "You speak boldly for a species that has been silent for centuries. Where did you get this fleet? Who gave you these weapons?" Hal did not blink. "We built them." "Impossible," one minister whispered. Hole continued. "Humanity grew in the dark. In secret, you ignored us. You underestimated us. That was your first mistake." The Emperor's jaw clenched. "We are the Eternal Empire. You think you can order us?" Hale gave a small nod. "Yes." The single word hit the room like a shockwave. Not shouted, not emotional, just absolute confidence. The Emperor tried another strategy. "You cannot win. Even if you destroy our fleets, the Empire controls half the galaxy. You will be crushed by our numbers." Admiral Hale didn't smile, but his tone shifted slightly. "We didn't come alone." Before anyone could ask what he meant, the holoscreen changed again. This time, dozens of new fleets appeared behind the human armada. Different designs, different structures, different species, all united, all standing behind humanity. The Imperial chamber erupted again. The rebels, the border worlds, the subjugated races. The Emperor stared in horror. You formed an alliance. Hale nodded. A free alliance. Every species you oppressed, every world you drained. They stand with us now. The Emperor felt his pulse rising. How did they gather? How did you unite them? They hate each other. Hale's answer was quiet. We gave them something no one else ever gave them. What? The Emperor asked. A choice. The throne room felt like it was collapsing. The Empire was seeing something it had never imagined. A united galaxy, but not under the Empire's rule. Under humanity's leadership, the Emperor tried to regain control. You want peace? Then leave our space. We will negotiate later. Hale shook his head. No more delays. No more excuses. The Empire will change now, or the Empire will fall today. Gasps filled the room again. This was no negotiation. This was an ultimatum that the Emperor stepped down from his throne, walking toward the holoscreen until he stood directly in front of Hale's projected image. He stared into the human's eyes. Fire met steel. You dare threaten the Empire? Hale's reply was soft. No, I am warning you. The silence felt heavy, painful, electric. Then Hale said the final words, the ones that froze every Imperial soul. Humanity did not come here to start a war, but we are fully prepared to end one. The holoscreen faded to black dot. No one in the throne room could breathe. The Emperor's voice shook just a little. Prepare my response. Immediately, because he knew something terrible. If he chose wrong, the Empire would not survive the next hour. The Emperor stood frozen in the center of the throne room, his fingers tight around the golden rail of his command console. His mind raced, but his pride kept pulling him back into the same dangerous thought. The Empire has never bowed to anyone. Admiral Korith watched him with a heavy heart. He knew what was coming. He could feel the tension in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Your Majesty, Korith said carefully, we must choose our next step. If we make the wrong move, we lose everything. The Emperor looked at him with burning eyes. We do not surrender to humans. But then the holoscreen flickered again. This time, there was no message, no face, only numbers. Human fleet count increasing, Allied reinforcements arriving, Empire border defenses falling. A minister whispered, they are everywhere. Every border point reports the same thing. Human fleets, appearing out of nowhere. The Emperor felt his rage turn into something colder. Fear. Fear. He pointed at the minister. Explain. How did they enter Imperial space without detection? No one answered. Because no one knew. Humanity had been quiet for centuries, but now it moved like a shadow through the stars. Silent, unseen, unstoppable. Admiral Korith cleared his throat. Your Majesty, we must open a diplomatic channel. We must talk to them before the Emperor cut him off. No, we fight. The words echoed like a death sentence. Launch all core fleets, activate the Aegis defense grid, and send the message. The Empire refuses. Officers hesitated. No one wanted to send that message. No one wanted to be responsible for what followed. But the Emperor shouted, do it. And so they did. The message was sent. Refusal. Challenge. War. Deep in space. Admiral Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the Terran flagship Tisvaliant. When the Imperial message arrived, he did not show anger. He only sighed softly. Then it begins, Hale said. The Alliance fleets shifted. Engines glowed bright. Weapons charged. Silent formations broke apart smoothly, spreading like a wave. Karatha, AI who commanded their tactical network, spoke gently. Enemy defense grid charging. Estimated full activation in 2 minutes. Hale nodded. Send our final broadcast. Across Imperial space, every screen lit up again with Hale's calm face. This is the Terran Union. You still have time. Stand down. We do not wish to destroy you. The Emperor watched the message with clenched fists. Liars, he whispered. They want the throne. But deep inside, he knew Hale wasn't lying. The Empire had created too many enemies. Humanity had simply given them a leader. The Aegis grid lit up like a star, sending a massive energy wave across the core skies. The Empire's defense fleets pushed forward. Then, everything changed. With a single command from Hale, "Execute fleet step," the Human Warfleet vanished. Every Imperial sensor went blind at once. Admiral Korath shouted, "Where did they go? Find them, find them." But before the sensors could recover, the humans appeared again, inside the Aegis line, behind the Imperial fleets, in perfect formation. "Impossible, suicidal, perfect," Korath whispered. "No technology can do that." But the humans did, and they used it with terrifying precision. The Emperor stared in horror. The humans had bypassed the strongest defense in the galaxy, like it was nothing. The battle that followed lasted only minutes. Human ships disabled Imperial cruisers with clean shots. Alliance destroyers captured stations without destroying them. EMP waves shut down weapons. Tractor beams pulled drifting ships to safety. The humans weren't killing. They were disarming. They weren't conquering. They were stopping. They fought with the efficiency of machines and the heart of living beings. The Emperor watched the battlefield crumble, not explode, not burn, just fall apart quietly. "This cannot be real," he muttered. But it was. Finally, Marcus Hale appeared again on the throne room holoscreen. Only this time, the Emperor did not rise. He did not shout. He barely breathed. Tot Halley spoke with quiet strength. "The battle is over. Your fleets are disabled. Your stations are captured. Your borders are secured. No lives were lost. We kept our promise." The Emperor's voice cracked. "What do you want from me?" Hale's eyes softened. "Peace, freedom for every species, an end to the Empire's cruelty, a united future." The Emperor looked around the room at the ministers who feared him, the officers who obeyed him, the generals who doubted him, and he finally understood. He had already lost, not to weapons, not to numbers, but to something far stronger. Hope. Hope that humanity brought. Hope that his empire could never kill. With shaking hands, the Emperor lowered his head. Accept. Across the galaxy, cheers rose. Borderworlds celebrated. Oppressed species cried in relief. Human ships powered down their weapons, and the empire once feared by all stood still and silent. The day the empire fell was not a day of fire, not a day of war. It was a day of truth, and humanity had delivered it. The galaxy changed forever that day, not because humans arrived with force, but because they arrived with strength and purpose. HFY